Nishant says hi to you, Vaibhav.
Hi Nishant.
There's Vignesh. Hi, Shabani.
Hi guys. Hi Sujay.
Hi, Yashmit. I'm quite excited to talk to you, Vaibhav, because this is
Glad.
yeah, your world is extremely fascinating and at some point quite addictive for all of us, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be mainstream soon.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, if we are going live across all social media platforms right away, so should we just get started?
Yeah, yeah. I'm ready.
Cool. Okay. Um, I don't know if it's worth doing a bit of introductions because some
I'll
people may or may not know.
yeah.
Yeah, do you want
I'll
to do a
give
bit
you
of a
yeah. So my name is Vaibhav Chavan. I'm the founder and CEO of Underdogs Gaming Studio. Underdogs was started back in 2011, which the sole aim to do that was to uh, make games for bigger brands. So when I used to work at Games to Win, Disney, India Games, Hangama, I was working as a game producer. And at that time, I realized that there were not many game studios uh, on the vendor side, right? So that was the reason I quit, you know, the game producer's job, and I just started my own company so that I can provide games to these people directly. So that was the aim, but then soon we started working for Bollywood movies. We made games for digital agencies, brands. So in the last 10 years, we have done over 250 games on major platforms: Android, iOS, PC, Windows, BlackBerry, a lot of them across all the categories and genres. So that's what we are doing right now also. At the moment, we are working on one of our very ambitious project called as Mukti, which is based on human trafficking. It's a PC and console game. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, how exciting. Can I take you back a bit before 2011, Vaibhav? And um, I believe when you started in the gaming industry, it was fairly new. Like, obviously, we used to play the odd video game out there, but how did you even know that this was a career that was up there and you were interested in it? How did you get into it?
So I started playing games back in 2001. I my father brought a black and white. This was way before Pentium 123 came. This was 486 was a black and white PC, which he got from one of his friend on a second-hand basis. So he got it, and then I started playing games on it. I my elder brother is a mechanical engineer, so I was supposed to do engineering, right? Like every middle class family, right? So I chose computer technology as a diploma, and then I went on to do engineering. But when I was playing these games back in 2001, when I cleared my 10th and I was supposed to join the diploma, I started researching a lot about how games are made. Earlier, I forgot about earlier. At this moment, also, I think 40-50% of the crowd in India do not know uh, that games are made. They think that games are there in the phone
There.
and somebody creates these games. They don't really know about this. And this was the same case back in 2001, when even I wanted to get into games, right? I wanted to get into game development, but I had no idea how to get into it. But visually, when you see 3D games, right? Like I used to play a lot of FIFA. I used to play Wolfenstein 3D, Prince of Persia, all the parts. So when you see those games visually, one thing that you notice is the 3D elements into it, the 3D characters, right? The characters, the environment. So one thing I was sure that I don't know about the other categories that are required into the gaming industry, but one thing for sure is this industry requires 3D artists, right? So that was my goal. So what I did was when I started my diploma in 2001, it was 3 years diploma, 2001 to 2004, and it was in computer technology where I was learning programming and all that stuff. I self-learned Maya, 3D Max, Unreal Engine, Talk 3D, a lot of these kind of tools which have the ability to create 3D elements. So I was creating a backup plan for me that whatever happens, I can at least land a job as a 3D artist in the gaming industry,
Mm,
if nothing, right? And at that time, I didn't have any understanding of what a game designer does, or a game artist does, or a game programmer does. Majorly, the difference between the game design and game art, which still people are confused in. I also didn't know at that time. But for those 3 years, then again in engineering also, I did the same thing. I kept on self-learning all these tools by myself, and I became so good in creating the 3D assets and elements that I started, you know, uh, getting into the game design stuff unknowingly. So I used to create characters. I used to create backstories of those characters in my own world, right? And I used to create those documents, and I just kept it with me. But while I was doing that, I didn't know that I was doing what a game designer does in a company, right?
got,
Yeah.
sorry, Vaibhav,
So
can I just stop you for 1 second there and ask, can you just clarify for us the difference between game design and game art, like you just mentioned?
game design is if you compare it to the movies, it's something that a writer does. So a game
Mm-hmm.
designer is responsible to write a game even before the development starts, right? So game designer has nothing to do with the visual elements of the game. He is the one who thinks about the world, thinks about the concept, thinks about the challenges, thinks about the backstory of the characters, of the environment, and the overall story, the progression, what is the win scenario, what is the lose scenario. And all of these things are thought, scribbled on paper, and written in documents. That is it. That's the job of a game designer.
Mm,
Uh, when you see the visual elements, that is something that a game artist does. So when a game designer writes all these things in a document, game artist reads that document and creates it into the digital world. So if the document says there's a character from India who has brown hair or something like that, and a backstory, the game artist reads that whole stuff and then creates the character based on that story and that look that is written in the game design document. So that's a major difference between game design and game art. I also didn't know at that time. Um, Also, one of the funny things that I remember during my college times is, if you ask any of my friends during my college, if you meet them right now, and if you ask them, uh, there's one thing that I always used to tell them, and that was, I didn't know how would I get into the gaming industry, but the day I finished my engineering, what I'll do is then the very next day, I'll go sit outside India Games, which was one of the biggest companies at that time, right? And that was, I think, hardly 3-4 companies that we've heard during that time. There was Nazara, there was Games to Win, there was Zapak, and there was India Games, right? So India Games was huge. And my simple plan, and anybody from my college would tell you that I used to keep repeating this thing, that the day I finish my engineering, the next day I'll go sit outside India Games. I'll sit for the whole day, and anybody who comes outside, you know, from India Games, like walk out of India Games, I'll catch him, I'll talk to him, and I'll ask him, I want to get in. What should I do to get in? Just tell me, I'll do that, and I'll come back for an interview. That was my simple plan, right? Fortunately, during those 6 7 years, I kept on researching about things, but there was not enough information out there. The internet access was also not that great that we have right now, right? So fortunately, one fine day, when I was giving my last engineering exams, I saw an ad that India Games requires a game designer, and I applied to it. Immediately got a call from them, did a telephonic interview, went to so that there was my second last engineering exam tomorrow, and today I was sitting at India Games giving 6 interviews back to back, and I got cleared into those things, and I was the first person from a college to get a job before my engineering was done. And it was like 5th June was my last engineering exam, and 6th June was my first day at India Games itself. So the biggest company, the dream company that I had in mind, was my first job, fortunately. So it was a very, very, you know, unbelievable, unrealistic kind of a story, but that happened. And for the game design, sorry to cut you. For the game design stuff, right? I um, learned game design when I was at India Games. Till that
Mhm.
time, I had no idea what game designer does. But when I started, the first day I went into India Games, that is the time I started learning. Oh, this is what a game designer does. And I was not supposed to do any of the 3D things that I did, but eventually it all helped me, throughout my journey.
That is so interesting that you mention all of the preparation that you had done, and then you mentioned your simple plan of sitting outside in your games office every day. I mean, if only everyone could follow through that simple plan, they would all be in their dream jobs, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it is simple, but it's not easy. I guess that's what it is. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, love your passion and dedication to the industry. So, you mentioned that game design is what you were supposed to do. And I mean, since then, have you enjoyed game design more, game art more, something else more through your career?
No, when I started at India Games as a game designer, right, then I realized that this is what I always wanted to do. Creating games, thinking about worlds, thinking about characters, and all that stuff. Then there was no looking back on the other domains, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people in today's world do. The younger kids, the younger generation, they're confused about different domains. And I keep on repeating this thing that when you want to make a career in gaming industry in India, you need to focus on just one domain. um, I meet a lot of people who say, I know game design, I know game art, I know game programming, and I want to become a game developer. That's not how you do it. If you're good at game design, just focus on game design. That's how specialization is done, and companies require people who are specialized in one domain, right? So when I started working at India Games as a game designer, I didn't think of anything else. There was a straightforward ladder for me as a game designer. I started as a trainee game designer, became a game designer, senior game designer, associate game producer, then a game producer at Hangama, and then eventually, I started my own company. But knowing all these things, knowing game art, because I practiced a lot, self-learned game art tools, knowing game programming because I was an engineering and computer technology diploma. I learned programming during those college days, right? And obviously knowing game design because I was very keen. All these three domains, knowing, having knowledge of all these three things helped me build my company. uh,
Mm,
but if you want to focus on a great career in bigger companies in AAA studios, you just need to focus on one domain.
I love it. And I think that is like whether that's game design or any other career or even any business per se. Like one of the things that I've been telling folks is that you get paid because of your expertise. Don't tell, yeah, you may be a great cook and a great programmer and a great swimmer, but you don't need to tell about all of these things at your programming interview, right?
True.
So, yeah, I love that. Should we do a couple of questions? Because I think I found a couple of interesting ones. Naresh asks information about NFT games, and if I may add on my question to you on that, on like gaming for Metaverse, like what are your thoughts? And
Um, this is one thing that I don't really talk about because I feel it's too early for the game development industry to, I know a lot of developers, I know a lot of founders who, uh, built on this hype. I feel it's too early for, because metaverse as a concept existed 10 years back also. We played games like Second Skin. We even a platform like Club Penguin had a complete world where people interacted with each other, played games into it. It was a 2D platform, right? But still, it was amazing. It was damn good. Second Skin again is a proper 3D world, and Second Life, sorry, it was complete 3D world, and it's just that adding a blockchain technology to it, and doing transactions um, using NFT is the only layer which has been added to this. It's still too early for anybody to comment on it, but people are utilizing the fact and riding that wave for sure. I really don't have enough knowledge also to talk about it, to be very honest.
got it. That is very real and humbling feedback, I think, for everyone jumping on the NFT bandwagon. Um, so Vivan knows how to get a job at your office now, right? Right. So yeah, like this stuff works, and you do it, you show the commitment, and I'm sure you'll be rewarded whether at Underdog or elsewhere. Um,
I think in today's world also, what I did was 16, 17 years back, right? In today's world, I think all the unconventional methods of getting job works. I mean, you just have to showcase your skills. I know people who just created an amazing. I know people who just created good good UI elements as a part of Swiggy prototype, putting it on LinkedIn, and Swiggy noticing it and getting people getting hired uh, by that method. I know people you know creating portfolios like cred ads and getting hired at cred because of that talent. So I
mm,
think in today's world, unconventional methods uh, in a right direction would help anybody if they're skillful enough to showcase their skills.
yeah, I definitely completely agree with that, because I think, I want to do this. Will you please give me an interview? This is what, like, I'm sure, Bhavav, you get this as well. Like, I definitely get a lot of people asking me, oh, how do I get into data science? How do I get into a career in data? Show me some skin in the game. Like, that is, I think, what it boils down to, that if you are really serious about this, where's the proof?
Yeah,
Other than, I want to do this.
yeah, and that's also the answer for a lot of questions that kids ask me on my YouTube or Instagram about how do you crack an interview, or how do you exactly get a job, what do you exactly tell in the interview. It it's all about, nobody is interested in your graduation, nobody's interested in your certification. It all boils down to what skills you showcase. So for a game artist in the gaming industry, I'll speak on the industry side, as a game artist, you just need to have one ArtStation page with all the artwork that you have created. It's enough to show what your skills are.
Mm,
As a game programmer, you just need one domain page with 5 prototypes that you have made in Unity, from scratch. It just shows your skills. As a game designer, probably you can just decompile, break down a very successful game and write about it. What are the good pros and what are the good points and bad points about that game? How can you balance it even more? So everything is skills that you can showcase, and nobody's worried about if you're not even a graduate. uh,
mm.
you know 60-70% of my staff is undergraduate, and it really doesn't matter because they're very skillful people.
Mm, love it. And I think, yeah, we all know you have the skills. I guess what it comes down to is showcasing those to the right people. Um, I think Anup had a similar question, and from YouTube, they say Metaverse is a Ponzi scheme, right?
For Anup, how did you prepare to crack the interview and you said the game development of it? So it wasn't game development; it was game design. Again, um, the difference, right? It was game design, but what is game design? Game design's base is about thinking, right? It's about spontaneous thinking. So although I learned what game design specifically is in India Games when I started, the tests, the interviews were more on the spontaneousness. So just for an example, there was one paper. There was there are these comic strips where there are thought bubbles and there are dialogues. So in one paper there was just a set of comic strips and empty bubbles. You just need to create something funny out of it. So this is just one test. There were 6 different tests like these, which made you think and create different stuff on the paper. So that just they just tried to analyze my skills based on those papers.
Vaibhav, can I ask you something just related to that? So, how does someone get really good at game design as opposed to, you know, game art or programming?
So game design, see, the problem in India is there are not many proper colleges or institutes who teach you game design. I know a lot of reputed institutes. I don't want to name them, but I know a lot of reputed institutes who teach game art in the name of game design. So the headline is game design and development, but you'll see they are teaching 3D Max, Maya, Photoshop, and all that stuff, which
Mm,
a game designer has nothing to do with, right? So that's one problem. Um, there are, I can tell you, important skills that a game designer require. One is the visualization, which is thinking about stuff. The second is documentation, the way you write things, right? Because the idea that you have thought of is here. You just need to be able to write it well on the paper so that game artist and game programmer can read that document and create the game, right? And the third one is communication. Obviously, you need to consistently interact with game designers, game artists, game programmers. You need to be good with that. So to start this, you need to build this as a base. And how do you do that? Probably by, doing some art graduation or uh, a history or literature kind of a thing, BMS or something, right? Where you learn a lot about how to write, how to have a good communication, how to think about things. Also, reading books helps a lot because you need to think about different worlds, right? And books has there are there's a lot that can be learned from books. I
mm,
also suggest you know consumption of a lot of entertainment, which gives you a lot of ideas. Watching movies, watching web series, reading books, all these kind of things. But on top of that, one important thing is, you as a game designer, if you're a fresh talent, one thing you need to do is you need to understand the lingos, the terminologies that game designers use. What is gameplay? What is game mechanic? What is core loop? What is level progression? What is screen flow? These are terms that game designers use, right? And if if you just have sound knowledge of these things, you can easily start as a game designer, probably as a fresher or an intern. If you get in as an intern, that's the best thing, because you learn a lot of stuff in just 2 to 3 months within that physical space, right? So that's important. Apart from that, this was one loophole that I was also analyzing for the last 2 years when I was creating content on YouTube. So couple of weeks back only, I created a video course on game design itself, a game design masterclass, which is available right now. If you guys want to check it out, just check out it on my website. It's the underdog.in. It has all the basics of game design, which a layman can just watch the videos and understand what game design is. So that's one thing that I wanted to put forward to the community, that along with these interpersonal soft skills, just for the terminologies, just for understanding these things, check out this course, because this will definitely help. Because this is not textbook language that I've used. This is more of experience, the industry insights that I've added to this videos. I've added the link in the chat box. If you guys want to check it out, do check it.
Okay, ignore the link I have put in. I clearly missed the. Right. I agree. We have a couple of things. One is your thoughts on graphic novels, because I would imagine that's a lot, like the interview process that you were mentioning out there is very similar to the interplay and dialogue exchange that happen in graphic novels, for example. Any thoughts?
Can you just
So I mean graphic novels whereby you have those, I don't know, Spider-Man and Superman having a conversation in light bubbles. So I think India perhaps is not a great market for graphic novels, but we definitely, I remember in our younger years, we used to have Chacha Chaudhary and all of that. So, I mean, what do you think those are helpful?
I'm not sure that would help as of now. It helped us for sure. That was a different generation, and because there was not much available out there, I think these were the few pieces which helped us understand a lot of things. But that at this age, in this era, I don't think is relevant to game design at all. One of the things I missed while I was telling about these game design colleges, right? Although there are a lot of institutes which are fake, but there are few good institutes that you can obviously check on Google. One of them, I wouldn't go to the private institutes for sure. That I don't want to be biased and say this is better. But one institute that I really admire a lot is National Institute of Design, NID. So game design is a subset of design, right? So design is the user behavior, like it just teaches you all those aspects. And National Institute of Design focuses on the design part. They will not teach you game design specifically, but it helps you understand what the core design is. And then you can probably do some crash courses, certifications which are available online. There are courses on Udemy. There's this course that I just made. But I think best entry to get into game design is internship.
Amazing. Also, another curious question that I ask to anyone related to design is, how important do you feel psychology or some grounding in psychology is for?
It is very important. It is very, very important when you design games. So there are multiple layers to it. One is when you just design what you want, right? You want to make a game on, say, a zombie, right? And you have a specific idea to create a game on zombie, so you'll create it. You you will not limit yourself, you will not limit your creativity, you'll just create what you want. But that is something that is your perspective, right? And that is why prototyping is done. So once you do that, basically a vertical slice or a prototype that you create, then you do the play testing with other people, and then you come to know what people are thinking about it. And you as a game designer needs to be very aware of what people are doing. The phase that I'm talking about is called as play testing, where we just give the phone to the player and just watch what he's doing, right? And there are things that you as a game designer have imagined versus everything that the player is actually doing. There might be no connection between the two things, and that is why I think user behavior stands a very important role into and that's layer 2, layer 3, where you first make what you want, then you keep on iterating based on what people are doing. And that
Mm,
is why when you go to layer 3, layer 4, we actually add analytics to the games, right? Like game analytics, Google analytics. When the games are live, even then when it is live, there are hundreds of things that are either eliminated from the game because the analytics shows that people are not interested in that stuff, right? People are doing this particular thing, so probably focusing in on this one is better. So it is all about how user is performing, how user behavior is. So that's one thing which you need to be very good at.
right. Awesome. Um, one question, I guess, for you right now, from coming through this game design career all the way through now actually running your own company, what has been, perhaps, of course, you needed to be very good at game design, otherwise all of this wouldn't have been possible, but what have been the newer skills that you have needed to acquire as you have moved to being an entrepreneur yourself as well in this space?
I think everything, like I learned one new thing every day, the day I started the company. Right from the very first clients that I had were the companies that I worked for as a game designer, game producer, right? So fortunately, my rapport with these people was good. So they understood me. They helped me grow. Um, but there are skills that I obviously wanted to improve within me, right? So talking to clients, like just basic, from scratch, talking to clients, writing emails, the basics of basics, like writing emails to clients so that it is not offensive. And then to growing up to how raising funds is important for the company. uh, a lot of things, a lot of, I think, I'll give you one simple line explanation to this, right? In game design, I was working in the company. When I started my company, I was working on the company.
Love
So,
it.
so that was a major difference. I worked on everything around it as a meta and not focused on the internal aspects.
Amazing. Maybe we take a couple of questions, one from YouTube. What it takes to build games like God of War or GTA or Uncharted?
If you are in India, you require a lot of money. I think there's a big misunderstanding in the current generation why Indian gaming companies are not making AAA titles, right? Games like God of War, GTA, Uncharted. Firstly, because India as a market has grown very rapidly in the last 10 years. But it's still not at the point where the US or China is, right? India has a lot, like 90 5% of the companies in India are mobile based. They make games for mobiles. And the reason is because mobile usage in India is huge. Because it's a huge country, because there is a lot of devices in India, people are making business from Indian audience, because that's how it works, right? You want to leverage your country audience, so you're making mobile games. Also, if you look at the VC community, the venture capitalists and the investment funds, right? They were not this confident about the Indian gaming industry 2 years back. You see a lot of investments happening in the last 2 years in gaming industry. People raising 5 million, 10 million, 100 million, even MPL company like MPL, right? But this wasn't a case 2 years back. There was no case study that huge funds could support game development studios, and no game development company had this fund, which, when I say fund, it's basically 100 $200 million to make a game like GTA or God of War. I am not at all saying India does not have talent. India has all the talent that is required to create a AAA game, because if you see games like Forza or Far Cry, right, majority of the art assets that you see in the game are outsourced in India. There are companies like Dhruva Interactive, companies like Lakshya Digital, who are making all these visual elements for these AAA companies and outsourcing it to them. They do it because it's cheap for them to do it in India. But if you look at the assets, you will not you will not notice that it's made in India. So I'm saying experience or skills is not a problem. Funds was the major problem, and no VC fund was that you know confident about any company to spend $100 million on one game, and this company is making making a AAA title for 3-4 years, just like what Ubisoft or Rockstars is doing. But I think in coming years this could be possible. There is a high possibility that India would create games like these, because a lot of VCs are now interested in gaming. They're putting money. Also, tools like Unreal Engine are supporting developers a lot, not just in case of engine, but also funding. So it takes a lot of people for sure. To answer his question, it takes a lot of people for sure, but money is the biggest obstacle.
And if I may add, or perhaps even pose this to you as a question, I think when I think of India, I think technical prowess is in our air. Like it's like you'll get it
Yeah,
because you are born in India, you'll get the technicals. I don't even want to question the second time about technicals. What I have definitely seen with myself for sure as an Indian, and I think with a lot of other Indians as well, is that marketing or standing behind what we are good at doesn't come very naturally to us. We are quite humble and modest. So, the money sort of follows the um, marketing wrapper you put around it. And I wonder if, again, I'm not very close to the gaming industry, but I wonder if that's something to be thought about there as well.
yeah,
Not really sure. It's just a comment.
yeah. No, see, the thing is, um, the investment community didn't have any case study in front of them to even compare it to their projections, financial projections, right? It's a different ball game altogether in the Western countries, because they are not even bothered about that $100 million that they put in, because that's fine. That's just one company in those 10 big companies they will put funds in, right? But for India, um, n- new players doing new things is a big risk for the community, for the investment community as well. And however however noise you create marketing or using any sort of stunts, right? It all boils down to what you have done before. So in our case, I'll tell you an example. Um, when we started Mukti, we started looking out for funds in India specifically. Everybody loved the concept. Even companies outside India who had Indian origins, they loved the concept. They loved the idea. They loved how we were executing it. But the barrier was this is our first game, which is in this category, in PC and console. We have always made games on mobile, and because they think that we cannot do it in PC on console, we never stood a chance to get funds. However, how much um, noise I create is just in vain.
Got it, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So, wonder if you can tell us a bit more about Mukti, because that sounds fascinating from a social point of view as well.
Yeah, Mukti started, the ideation started back in 2018. Um, During that time, we also won the Best Upcoming Game of the Year award. Just got delayed after that because of the lack of funds. But we started working on Unity at that time. And this year, we shifted from Unity to Unreal, which is where we got a grant from Unreal Mega Grant. So we got funded by Unreal to make this game, to kickstart this game. The game is has a lot of unique selling points into it. Starting with the whole setup is in India. So, and this game is global game. And if you see, there are only a handful of games which has shown parts of India into it. If you see Far Cry, there's this northern region. There's one level in Hitman, which is Mumbai. Uncharted had this Lost Legacy, which was based in India. But this game is in India, talks about India, but it is for the global audience, right? It's it's a it's a very um, it's a very heartbreaking story of human trafficking. It's an experience. We call it as an experience, not a game for us. It's a 3-4 hours of experience that a user sits, plays, goes through a set of roller coaster emotions, and then gets up. Right, like it's done. We are not trying to teach people how to you know not get caught into this trafficking, or we are not even giving any solutions to any problems. This is just a story, uh, and it's inspired by a lot of true events. One of the things that we are doing is the whole game is based in an Indian museum, which is actually a combination of the two real museums in Mumbai. It's the architecture and the artifacts within the museum are literally inspired by the real mythology, cultural, and historical events in India. And it's a great learning for the global audience to even see that and experience those. So just for an example, if you, in one room there is a miniature of Taj Mahal, if you go near it and if you explore it, you will see the data, you'll see what is Taj Mahal and who made it, why he made it, right? So it's kind of an exploration element to it, but it's a first person exploration game with a lot of puzzles into it, right? Another another amazing thing that we are doing in this game is we are blending it with real motion videos. So all the cutscenes that you will see in the game will not be 3D cutscenes. They will be real videos of real actors, and we are trying to bring it together. So proper TV actors, proper web series actors performing uh, those characters, and we are trying to blend the story between the real world and um, the game world. So
Wow, that's fascinating. It feels like, oh, is it already out or?
no, it's in development. The demo would be out soon, but right now it's okay, Unreal Mega Grant has helped us kickstart the product. So we started just 3 months back, but we have a plan to bring it out by end of this year or early next year.
Okay, sounds fascinating. Might be one of the ones that I want to play. Um, right, again, let's go back to the questions on the chat. Um, Game asset copyright. What are your what are your
Game,
thoughts?
at least game asset copyright. You can't. So is if this is about using someone else's assets, I don't understand the question actually. But there are a lot of free assets available. If you can use those, then there's no problem. But if some um, like what developers do, some developers do is they just decompile uh, a live game, decompile it, get those assets from that actual game which is live and use those. You can't do that. Then you will be sued by the developer. But if you use free assets, free royalty free assets, um, you can use it. Again, same thing. If somebody uses your assets, you can obviously claim it.
Yeah, pretty much works, I guess, across all creative copyright the same
Correct.
way. Um, Dave asks, in game merch has been skins in game merch has been around. What is the aspect of NFTs in them?
So right now, what people are doing, what the developers are doing is the transaction is done using real money. You do in-app purchases, you do customization of characters, use skins, unlock a lot of stuff. But for that, you pay, right? You pay real money. The same model is going to be converted into NFTs, wherein you can probably buy that with cryptos, or then have that same model of selling it even further. That's basically the model of play to earn kind of games. But again, to be honest, it's very early for all of this to get to a level where it is mainstream.
Yeah, got it. Um, and Rahul says, can you explain how Mojang is able to pull users by just making a block game, whereas other games are moving towards realistic graphics? Really interesting.
Mojang, even though they used voxel-based art, which is the boxy art the block art that you mentioned, they managed to create a world which was fun. That was the start how Minecraft was popular among the kids, right? Because you could build a lot of stuff into it. You can dig, you can build. So it was a sandbox kind of a model wherein people were interested in building stuff. People were not really focusing, and I am a part of that generation as well. So I'm telling you from my experience, people were not interested in what kind of graphics it was. It was more of you know letting people do what they want in the game, and that attracted a lot of people. And since they created that IP, they don't want to move to realistic graphics now. It's a core feature of the game, right? So it is always going to be same, although the texture quality improves every now and then. But it started with a simple model, and they just iterated it to a level where now it's popular with the same kind of old graphics, but still people are interested in it. It is more because of the gameplay and not because of the graphics.
Got it. Um, right. The next one is your company, Vaibhav, willing to have a vision to make games like God of War or GTA? I think we spoke about it a bit.
Yeah, I think everybody in India who started gaming companies had this dream someday, right? That is why they started their own companies. A lot of game company founders started along with me, and the idea was always to create kick-ass games, right, from India. Everybody is on that journey. The people who discovered their love for, say, mobile games, for real money gaming, for rummy games, or they just shifted to that particular parts. But there are a lot of people in India right now who have this one dream. For us, Mukti could be the start. We will learn a lot of things in Mukti. Probably after Mukti, we'll do something much more bigger. So the ambition will always be there to create a huge AAA game. But I think taking smaller steps is what our game is.
Makes sense. And the next question is, as a game artist, how do you protect your assets from being copied or stolen?
You can't do that unless you discover somebody is using it. You just can't, copy. You just can't have that restriction on anybody. Anyone can just decompile your game and use those assets. Um, but if you find people using it, you can definitely, claim it. You can definitely um, let them pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's pretty much again same for all copyright, but sometimes actually words are easier to find than images and things like that. So it's a tough one. Um, Yashmith asks, explain graphic design. It's the same as
Um,
game design or game
no,
art. Sorry,
no.
not game design, but game art.
No, graphic design is a complete different field. Like, it's not game design, is not game art. It's majorly, I think it's in generic industries. In any industry, there can be a graphic designer. Majorly working on art assets on web. Let's just say creating banners, for promotions, for brands, uh, for ads, or all those stuff. So graphic design is majorly that domain.
Okay, got it. Vaibhav, can I ask you one thing, which is how involved do you get in the game design now that you have like people to do this for you?
It is something that I love, and I'll always keep doing that. I'm not supposed to do it, but I like to be a part of those discussions, and I'm always available for game design sessions. So uh, in terms of Mukti, it's just me and my colleague. Both of us have created this whole pre-production. So Mukti game design and pre-production is all done. So we have worked a lot on it. Just two of us have created this amazing design for the game. But all the new things that come, there is another platform also that we are working on. So majorly he and me work on it. But I love to be a part of those discussions more than any other part.
Right. Very, very good. One last question, I think, from Kishan, and we'll end because you have a hard stop. So, yeah, do you have any advice on what language folks can start with?
So globally, C Sharp is something that people are using for game development, and because Unity is free to use, Unity is easier to understand compared to other tools. Um, if you're a beginner and you want to start coding games, you should start with C Sharp on Unity. That's the easiest thing that you can do. Also, do not lean towards visual scripting a lot, because when time comes when you have to actually code stuff using programming languages, you wouldn't be able to do that with visual scripting. Visual scripting can just help you do 10 things. Coding will get you to help you to create 100 things, because it's a lot of customization that you can do.
Got it. Um, should Vaibhav, how are you for time? Should we do one last question
Yeah,
or
yeah, sure. One last
okay,
question.
okay. Which courses to opt as a beginner in game dev programming?
Again, I really don't think you should jump, like, you should run behind colleges or institutes. C sharp is has core OOPS concept, which is object oriented programming language, right? You can do this OOP certification from anywhere. These are just 2 3 months certifications where you understand this whole OOPS concepts. When you know C sharp, then you can directly jump onto Unity as a self-learning. It's You can just self-learn Unity, or you can, if you want to have that guidance or course. Unity themselves have a platform called Unity Learn. Go on it. There are modules for everything, and it's completely free. Then there is Unity certification also that you can do, just to get a hook of what Unity is and how to create stuff on it. Then there are a lot of Udemy courses that you can buy and just go through them.
Got it. And your course also is on the underdog.in as
Yeah,
well.
that is for specifically for game design. If you want to just check it out, just
Yeah. Okay. I feel like there are a few more, but I think I'll leave this to you, Vaibhav. Do you have
I'll
any
just
more?
take one last. Please talk about acquisitions in game art industry, like ArtStation got acquired by Epic Games and ZBrush got acquired by Maxon. Who owns Cinema 4D? So what do you think about it? That there's just company calls. I am not really sure about what is happening with the companies and their strategies. Acquisitions majorly happen for specific reasons, and for every acquisition there's a different reason. I am not sure why Epic acquired ArtStation, or Maxon acquired ZBrush. They have their own strategies and ambitions and goals, and they are running towards those. Probably somebody else will think of acquiring Cinema 4D whenever they need it. I don't know. I don't know what to say about
Yeah,
it.
M&A is a completely different market and a different thing to, I think, what we are talking about here in game design. It's not really about gaming at all. But this was so good, Bevav. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll
Thanks.
speak
Thanks.
soon. And thank you, folks, for all your questions.
Thank you for joining, guys.
Okay, bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye.